which leads us to our final review of the night, which is the new 2019 remake of The Lion King, directed by Jon Favreau. I'm not calling it live action because it is absolutely not live action. Because even though everything looks real, Jon Favreau said that this is an animated movie. It just happens to look realistic. Like the animals are all CGI, the locations are CGI. Literally only one frame of this movie is live action. Not one scene, one shot of the film is live action. And that's it. Everything else was built on a computer, which on a technical standpoint, holy shit. I cannot believe what they were able to do with this film. Like, I've seen a lot of people kind of crapping on the CGI, and I don't know why. I'm like, dudes, this is, at least in my opinion, one of the greatest advancements in CGI history. Like, really think about it. Trying to build this entire world on a computer and making it look as real as it does. And it does look real. There were many parts of it in the movie where I was trying to make myself remember, hey, this is all built on a computer. None of this is real. It's insane. These might actually be the greatest visual effects I've ever seen in any film. Like, just what they were able to do with this film, making an animated movie that looks realistic, that looks photorealistic, and it succeeds in doing that is, oh my god, that is groundbreaking shit right there. That is some groundbreaking shit. And I cannot wait to see where else they go with this technology. So overall, what did I think of the movie? I loved it. Yeah, it hasn't been getting very good reviews, and even audiences seem to be pretty split on it. But for me, this new Lion King was nothing short of incredible. Now, some people would try to, are going to try to say, oh, well, it's all, the plot points and the characters, the only reasons why they work at, they don't really count for this movie, they only count for the original Lion King because, that's something that the original movie made, not this movie, so that's not worth praising in this film. But I'm like, no, it is worth praising because they could have done it badly. And there are some people out there who say that the plot itself is really good, and that if you've seen the original Lion King, a lot of the stuff that they do in this film does reflect the original, and they've acknowledged that they thought they did that very well, but they don't count it as a positive towards this movie because it was from the original Lion King, which for me is not a good way to look at films. Because, it's like saying Lord of the Rings wasn't good because all the stuff that was, most of the stuff that was in those movies was already in the books, so you can't count that again, as a positive towards Lord of the Rings. I'm like, no. What matters was how the film did it. How they pulled it off. And yeah, is this new Lion King about 90% almost just like the original? Yeah. But, I mean, if it ain't broke, why try to fix it? Then some people will try to pull up the argument, well, then why do it at all? Well, why not? Because if it's great, then you have another great movie. If it sucks, then you can still watch the original Lion King whenever you want. No one's stopping you. And studios are constantly pulling out new original movies every year, so why not remake The Lion King? I mean, and some people are going to go, well, they're only doing this for, it's just a cash grab. I'm like, well, yeah, this new Lion King is absolutely a cash grab, but that's every film. You don't pour millions of dollars into a movie and not expect to turn out a profit. And don't try to tell me that they don't care about making the movies good, because they absolutely do. Because, a bad movie like Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom can make money. It made over $1 billion, but it would have made more money if it was good. And the exact opposite goes for great movies that flopped, like The Nice Guys or Kubo and the Two Strings. Those movies were critical hits, and yet they were box office disasters. But I'll say this, they would have made less money than they did if they were bad. They made more money than they would have made if those movies were bad. But no, everyone loved The Nice Guys, everyone loved Kubo and the Two Strings, so it made more money. Again, not enough to make them profitable, but it could have been worse. So studios do care about making their movies good, because, greed is good. They want to make as much money as possible. And the same. That's the thing that goes with every single movie ever made. If anyone tries to tell you that a movie is a cash grab, tell them no shit, because you don't spend millions of dollars making a movie and not expect to turn a profit. Okay, that's insanity. Like, whatever. But back to The Lion King. What did I really love about it? Well, aside from, the plot being really good and the characters being really good, which, yeah, was from the original film, but regardless, I feel like they pulled it off really, really well. Let's talk about some of the new elements, the performances from the actors. I thought they were all, across the board, spectacular. Donald Glover was a really good Simba. It was nice hearing James Earl Jones back as Mufasa. Beyonce kind of surprised me as to how good she was as Nala. J.D. McCreary and Shaddai Wright Joseph as Nala. Like, J.D. McCreary played young Simba, and Shaddai Wright Young played young Nala. Like, those two kids were really, really good. They were all really good. John Canny as Rafiki was really good. And of course, let's talk about the three standouts of this movie. John Oliver as Zazu, Billy Eichner as Timon, and Seth Rogen as Pumbaa. John Oliver, I'm a big fan of Last Week Tonight, so when I heard that he was going to be Zazu, I was ecstatic, because it's like, yes, I just love how, like, this guy's a really funny comedian. And, man, and Billy Eichner as Timon. Now, I kind of feel bad, because, like, in my Adam Ruins Everything review, I kind of made a joke at the expense of Billy Eichner, because when I first saw Billy on the street on True TV, I thought he came across as a bit of a big douche, but he has grown on me, honestly. He's grown on me. Billy Eichner, I think, is actually pretty talented, and he was really good as Timon. Like, he brought a little bit of a new edge to Timon. Like, he's not as overconfident as the original Timon. Like, he's more of a scaredy meerkat. But he really brought his own to this film. But Seth Rogen as Pumbaa, wow. I wanted this guy to be cast as Pumbaa before he was cast. Like, you can look on my Facebook somewhere, I don't know, where I made like a little fan casting of who I would cast as these characters. Not that they had to stick by my casting choices. Like, they could have gone with any really good actor and I would have been fine with it. But man, I was hoping Seth Rogen would be Pumbaa, and sure enough, they cast him as Pumbaa. I was like, oh yes, this is gonna be great, and it was. Timon and Pumbaa in this movie, I still think the original Lion King is better, but Timon and Pumbaa in this movie I think are actually better than they were in the original. Like, these guys are so laid back and, just cool. Like if you try to hang out with the original Timon and Pumbaa, they would probably get very annoying very fast. But the new Timon and Pumbaa, they honestly feel like you could have a conversation with them. It's like, they're just cool dudes. Like, they're just awesome. Especially for a couple of scenes, like, one of them being The Lion Sleeps Tonight. They do something pretty different with that scene that was from the original movie, and it's really, really cool. Like, it's more of a musical kind of thing, and the ending of the song is so funny. It's so hilarious. Another thing I loved about this movie, were some of the new scenes that they added. The scenes, involving, Scar and Sarabi, who's, Simba's mother. Like, those scenes are really good. And there's also this extended scene with Nala. Again, it's really interesting to watch. And, that new stuff added in the film I thought was pretty good. Actually really good. And also, I will say this. Some other cast members I forgot to mention. The hyenas. They do the hyenas pretty differently in this film. Like, they're not the really stupid comedic relief that they were in the original. Not stupid as in, like, I didn't like them. I mean, like, stupid intelligence-wise. Like, they lacked any kind of cognitive function, basically, which worked for that film. But I was kind of wondering what they were going to do with the hyenas in this new one, because, like, you can't really go overly stupid, because, like, that only works in a cartoon. Like, Ed, like, that, you could only do that in the cartoon. Now in this film, Bonsai and Ed are renamed Kamari and Azizi. Like Kamari is like Bonsai is Kamari and Ed is Azizi. They changed the name so that they can make them like because it's more African, which I was not concerned about that. Like that's fine. Uh, what were some of the like who played Shenzi? Florence Kazumba played Shenzi, and she was intimidating as hell. And not only that, they made sure you knew that she was the leader of those hyenas. She was fantastic. Keegan Michael Key as Kamari was also really intimidating. But man, Eric Andre as Azizi. For one, I am shocked they even let Eric Andre anywhere near this film. Like, at all. Like, because he is, like, one of the most prolifically offensive comedians out there. And the fact that they let him anywhere near their most beloved property, one of their most beloved properties, is hilarious in of itself. And they're all great in this movie. And again, they go more with the intensity route with the hyenas instead of the comedic route. They do have some comedic moments, but they're mostly supposed to be like straightforward villains. Like, yeah. And they pull it off really well in this film. One criticism that I've been seeing a lot from people is that the animals' expressions, like, they don't express that much. For me, it was not even an issue because I've seen what happens when movies try to make animals emote in ways that they're not supposed to emote, and it can look very bizarre. So yeah, they don't express much with their faces as much as they do in the original film, but I'd rather have that than make them look weird. I'd much rather have that. And plus, even then, for me anyways, I feel like the performances were able to, like whatever faces the animals couldn't make, I feel like the actors more than made up for it. Like, when you see young Simba see something really traumatic, his face doesn't say a lot, but J.D. McCreary's performance, his voiceover performance, again, I feel like more than made up for what you couldn't see with the face. Which even then, I don't know why people are complaining about the faces now, because, why, like, how come, nobody complained about the faces when, Charlotte's Web came out, the 2006 live-action one, or The Jungle Book, the one that came out a couple years ago, or Christopher Robin that came out last year, or Babe, and Babe was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. Like, nobody complained about those movies and the animals' faces not, expressing much, and yet now, during The Lion King, is when people pull that up? I don't understand that. Like, it's very hypocritical in my opinion. Whatever. But, so yeah, regardless, I feel like, this new Lion King was spectacular. So much so that, I can't believe I'm saying this, Kubo and the Two Strings has now been replaced as my favorite animated movie of the 2010s. Like, now I think it's The Lion King. Yeah, it looks live action, but whatever. No, it's an animated movie. Everything in the movie's animated, so it's an animated movie. For me, there's no question about that. And yes, does this borrow a lot from the original animated film? Yeah, it does do that. But for me, they still did it really well. And, I mean, really, if it ain't broke, if it ain't broke, then why bother fixing it? And again, anybody who says, well, why bother remaking The Lion King at all? I mean, there's no downside to it, really, for me. Like, there's no downside to it. Because even if this were to suck, I still have the original Lion King. It's still, like, one of the best movies ever made. And I can watch it whenever I want. There's no harm in this new Lion King existing. And so, yeah, I absolutely recommend you see The Lion King. I think it is fantastic. This is a very worthy adaptation of the original animated film. The visual effects, I feel like, are outstanding. If there's another movie that beats The Lion King for best visual effects next year's Oscars, like, that better have some game-changing effects, even more game-changing than the ones in The Lion King. So yeah, if you have seen The Lion King, what do you think about it? Tell me down below, all that good stuff and whatnot. But yeah,